But when they discovered that the half-acre plot was unsuitable for their plans, they put it back on the market. Man, here's the story. This is the lore of this building. Okay, so welcome, my friends. I hope you're doing well. My name's Justin. I'm a studio guitarist here in Nashville, Tennessee. I play guitar on songs, and that's basically my gig. I want to talk about this studio that was for sale, and then it sat, and then it finally sold, and we thought, okay, now it's over. We're never working there again. And then it came back. It's back, and it's a studio, and it's because of this major oversight made by the developers who purchased it. So first, in order to give you the context of how this happened, I want to share my screen with you and show you where this place is. So let's share the screen here. Here we go. So check this out. This building right here, this is a studio. It was called the Tracking Room. It was built in 1995. It's 6,500 square feet. It has a monster tracking room and then 5 ISO booths that are big enough to be tracking rooms themselves. You could fit a drum kit and guitar bass keys in each one of them. But notice where it is. It's right next to the interstate, okay? This place, if it weren't constructed the way that it was, you would hear, and more importantly, you would feel the interstate all day long, especially I-40. Like we get so much traffic on I-40, lots of shipping traffic, lots of 18-wheelers. There could be 20 of them going by, hitting their exhaust brakes all at once, and if you're inside the tracking room, you wouldn't hear or feel a single thing. They designed the control room in the studio to be flat down to 5 hertz. So it doesn't color your sound that's coming out of the speakers in any way, the room itself. That's remarkable. So I want to show you some pictures of this place. I took some while I was there for the week. So this is the space. And what's so great is, since before last week, I hadn't been in here since 2020. That's when it shut down, and then it stayed on the market till 2021 when it was bought by developers, and they were going to bulldoze it. All they wanted was the land, but it turned out that they couldn't do what they wanted to with it. It's so amazing. Okay, check these photos out. This is my friend James Mitchell here. This is his guitar rig. This is my world over here. We were the 2 electric guys on this record. Back here's drums. That was Jerry Rowe. Let's get some more pictures here. This is Scotty Sanders, one of the absolute baddest steel players ever. I just love Scotty's playing. This is Jimmy Lee Sloas. Everybody loves Jimmy Lee, and he's like the final boss of bass players. He's on everything, but you got to hear him play. He has this really incredible way. Most guys have this in town. But I was noticing on a record we were working on together a few years ago that when he plays, no matter whether he's on the lowest strings or way up high on the highest, thinnest string, he's getting the same amount of low end out of the bass. Like when I play bass on some demos and things at home, and when I play, if I go to the second string, the A string, I feel like I've lost half the low end. And I can see it in the waveform too. It's just that big thumpy low E, like playing notes all up and down that string have so much more low end. And I asked Jimmy, I was like, how do you do that? And he said that he doesn't think about it anymore, but he naturally moves closer to the neck the higher he goes to a higher string. And he also changes like the side of his finger, the part of his finger that strikes the string. And he's just got it down to where you don't notice any EQ difference across the entire bass. It's kind of amazing. Okay, enough gushing about my friends. Let's see. Oh yeah, there's the old Jazzmaster. Got my little pedal board here. They gave us all rugs. You kind of feel like you just have your own world. It's really nice. So this is the first of the ISO booth rooms. This is the stone room. The reverb in this room is incredible. You can kind of see in the back of the room there's a couple of mic stands. They're using those as room sounds for the drums. So the door stays open. The drums are on the entire other end of that long tracking space, and then all the way at this end with this door open, whatever comes through is recorded by these mics. And there are plugins based on this room. The entire thing's stone. Walls, stone tiles on the floor. I don't know about the ceiling, but you go in there and clap. It's got a really great reverb to it. So this is from kind of standing right outside the door of that stone room, this picture. Next ISO booth has my guitar cab in it. It's my Bogner 212 cab. Got an ET65 mic'd up with a Royer and a 57. We tend to just use a little bit of the Royer. And then through this door back here, James's cab is in there. And these doors in this studio were designed by NASA, and you're not really getting bleed. Here's from the other direction in the tracking room. Oh no, this is from the hallway to the control room. My space is right over here on the left, and there's Scotty. And so, yeah, that's my world. You probably recognize all these guitars in my stand because they're the ones that I keep with me. I'll have them at home too. Let's see, front to back, Jeff Centelli, Danocaster, Jazzmaster, my old 335, the Biscuit, 69 Les Paul Custom, and then the very last one is my Novo. And then in the vault behind me, I have more specialized guitars. I call it the oddities. I've got a 12-string, a couple baritones, Gretsch hollow body. I've got a Cootercaster. I have a Rick with flats. I do keep a Danocaster telly in there just in case. Just in case I've got to go somewhere and I don't have guitars with me, and I can have my cartage show up, and I'll have between a telly, the Gretsch, and like my Dan Electro baritone, I feel like I can cover about anything out of the vault. But I still like these 6 guitars in the stand are kind of my bread and butter. You can see I've got Kenny Greenberg's Matchless. I still have the other one here too. I'm still trying to decide which one I want to buy. This is the acoustic booth. This is the third booth on the other side of the tracking room. Tim Galloway sat here and just played fantastic. This is the tracking room from behind Jerry's drum kit. Some more of my world. See my little space heater amp up top. I love this Morgan Tweed amp too. I had it modded into like a double 5E3, so it's got 6 L6s and a bigger transformer, and it really drives my 212 cab nicely. This space heater amp sounds really, really great, and it's on so many records. I use it all the time. And of course, Tuxedo Bassman. Can never go wrong with that. There's a little just painting video. You can barely hear in the background maybe that the other guitar player, James, was finishing up his part on the record. So, why did we get it back? Well, when they built this thing in 1995, I think the price of concrete was a lot lower than it is today, because they put literally a massive concrete footer on this, under this building, and they did it to decouple it from all of this traffic, these on and off ramps right here, the 4 lanes worth of highway that are right next to the, like, you could throw a rock over the highway from this place. I mean, it's crazy how close it is, but you don't hear or feel anything. So the developers, I'm going to show you this article. Let's read here. Any expectations that the studio would reopen were scotched when a group of developers purchased the 9,300 square foot building in March 2021. So only the main tracking space is 6,500 square feet. The building's bigger than that. But when they discovered that the half-acre plot was unsuitable for their plans, they put it back on the market. Man, here's the story. This is the lore of this building. They were looking through the blueprints when they were buying it, and they saw that it had a big concrete footer. Well, the blueprint said that the footer was 40 feet thick, but it wasn't feet FT, it was feet with a tick mark, right? And they thought, oh, that's a typo, there's no way. They thought it was a 40-inch footer. That would make sense, a 40-inch footer. That's like a normal foundation, right? So they thought it was just missing a tick mark. Well, it turns out that it was really 40 feet. And, you know, you can't bulldoze a building, leave a 40-foot thick footer, and then build new structures on top of it. I mean, you can't use old foundations, right? It's codes thing, it's all sorts of things. Well, it also turns out that hauling away, how many thousands of square feet is this building? And there's a 40-foot concrete footer underneath it? That's cost prohibitive for anybody. So they scrapped the plans and they sold it at a minor loss to Keith Urban. So I want to say thank you to Keith Urban, because he bought this place, and not only, I mean, it's his studio, he owns it, but he's also letting people use it, you know, and it's such a great space. I hadn't been in there since before COVID, since early 2020. I think the last thing I did there was in January, and they were telling us, yeah, we're shutting down in a couple months, we're not going to be open anymore. I was like, all right, cool, we lost another one, you know. But Keith bought it, and when he's not in there, it's available for others to use. So I was so thrilled, because it's such a great spot, and it sounds great. It's just a piece of history. It's a piece of Nashville history, and it feels, like I said, it feels like a win for the music industry, which is relatively speaking, in the greater Nashville economic world, we are a smaller player, smaller of the big players anyway. So we got one back. Isn't that exciting? So I want to play a little bit, talk about that thing that I played in the intro, and just show you what I was going through chord-wise. So I was just in the key of E. And all I'm doing is playing this kind of country. It's almost like a Travis picking. I'm just using an alternating root fifth kind of thing, but when it's going to mess up the pattern for the next chord, I get away from it. And then walking into some other chords, I just move with sort of a chromatic thing. So the chords through the A and B section of this: E, G sharp 7. So I'm thinking 1, 3, 7, 3 dominant 7. To 6 minor, right? That 3/7 chord is the 5 of 6 minor. We're using a bunch of secondary dominants, right? That's what you call it. When you're using a 7th chord to pull, 7th chords always act like a 5, and they always pull to their respective 1. So we're using these other 7th chords to pull to a new 1 without it being the 1. Like, I'm just using this as a way to get to C sharp minor. And you could do it in 2 different ways. That sounded a little too thick to me. Neck pickup P90. So I moved here, but it's the same sort of thing. And you notice on these couple of moves, the first note of my little chromatic walk down is the 5th from our root 5th of the previous chord. Root 5th, root 5th, root 5th. Root 5th, root 5th, root. I stay on this chord. So, okay, let me tell you, I'm moving around without telling you what I'm doing. E, G sharp 7, to C sharp minor. What if I tuned here? So in my mind, in my numbers mind, 1, 3, 7, 6 minor, 2, 7, 2 minor 7, 5, 7, 1, 1, 7, 4, 5, 1, 3 minor, 4, 4 minor, 1, 6, 7, 2, 7, 5, 7, 5, 7 alt, or you could say B7 sharp 5, B7 alt, flat 13 maybe if you really wanted to. Play it that way. So, in my mind, I'm using secondary dominants to get around, but this thing's in the key of E. The whole thing's in the key of E. Just because I go to G sharp 7 as a way to get to the 6 minor does not mean that I change to the key of C sharp there. And just because I go to F sharp 7 as a way to get to the B here doesn't mean I change to the key of B here. I hate thinking like that. I would much rather listen for a melody that weaves its way through those chords. I don't want to think E scale. Ooh, G sharp mixolydian. Oh, C minor. Well, it's probably Aeolian because it's a 6 and not the 2. It'd be really weird if I played Dorian here, but maybe it would work because the next chord is F sharp dominant 7, and that would mean that the C sharp has a major 6th interval. Like you just get, you start chasing scales through all this, and to me, you completely lose the point of music. So when I'm playing over this, I'm thinking, when we go to E7. It's such a country move. It's a jazz move too. I mean, to just make your 1 chord a dominant 7, it really pulls to the 4. Right? I mean, if you, I think the trick, playing melodically over changes that kind of go all over the place and don't just fit within one scale, is not to jump around in scales. It's to focus on the melodic frame, which is E of this whole thing, and to find notes that work. I mean, I would go, sometimes I hit the major third of one of the secondary dominants, right? Stepping out a little bit. I'm going to play just a melody. I'm going to grab a pick here. See if you can hear the changes through it, okay? So anyway, there you have it. There's some old school. See y'all later. Have a good one.